Today, for the very first time, we are going to be listening to the brand new, just released Blur album, their first album since 2015. This is the Ballad of Darren. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another album review / reaction here on my channel. This is something we're really excited for. This is the first time I have remote Cody here.
I'm here.
Yes. So,
after a lot of difficulties, we made it work.
Yes, just like I always say with remote Chris, we've been trying to get this to work for the last hour and a half about, but we think we've made some great strides that we can use with possibly helping remote Chris actually hear me when we're listening to some Metallica. Yes. So if this is your first video on my channel, you're new here, welcome. Thank you very much for checking this video out. I assume you're a huge fan of Blur, just like I am. We'll get to talking about Blur in a second. But first, I just want to say, again, thank you for showing up. If you're unfamiliar with my channel, since the beginning of this year, I've been going through and listening to all of Metallica's albums for the very first time. So if you're a fan of heavy music, you're a fan of Metallica, go check those videos out on my channel. I've got all sorts of other things that I've been reacting to this year, all sort of leading to the top 12 albums of the year video that I make every year. Very much looking forward to that this year. My guest, Cody, who is my cousin as well, Cody Musilek, I'll have our names pop up here. I always enjoy doing that, and I have to say it out loud or I'll forget to do it in the video too, so I always have to say it out loud. Yeah. But Cody and I have recorded several videos together. So far, we've listened to Talking Heads album, which one?
Little Creatures.
Little Creatures. We listened to Led Zeppelin 4, and we also listened to Blur's album, Park Life. It was the first Blur album you had ever heard, right?
Yeah, and I loved it.
Yeah, you absolutely loved it.
I'm a new Blur fan.
I knew you were going to. And so it's going to be really fun today because that's the only Blur album that you've heard. And I think as far as you know, the only other Blur song you've heard is song 2.
Yep.
So we are going to be going from their third album from 1994 all the way, 30 years later, 2023, to their brand new album. And for myself, I have not heard a second of any of these songs. I have no clue what they're going to sound like at all. So I'm very, very excited to get into this.
I've heard one on the radio, but I've put it out of mind and I don't really remember what it sounded like.
Sure. Would you think just yes or no? Does it sound good?
Yeah, I thought it was, yeah.
Okay.
I enjoyed it, although I don't know if I'll be able to point out which one it was because like I said, it's kind of left my mind at this point. It was a couple weeks ago.
And you probably weren't paying attention to it super at the time.
No, it was like afterwards they said it was Blur. I'm like, oh,
there you go.
They're coming out with a new album.
So one thing I have to say before we get into this, when we uploaded our Park Life reaction 2 weeks ago, I think it was, I tried as hard as I could to upload the video with the audio from the album in the video, and we could not. It got blocked in every country. And I even tried to cut the video in half and upload half of it, and I tried all these different things, and it did not work. So what we're going to probably have to do with this video, because I'm assuming we're going to get the same effect here, and we'll be blocked in all countries if I try to include the actual audio from the album in the video. I will try to upload the video first with the audio in it. And if it gets passed and everybody can hear it, that's great. You'll be able to listen to the music along with us in the video. However, if more than likely the video gets blocked, I'll have to re-upload the video with none of the songs in it at all. So if that's the case, and even if I can't have it in the video or not, in the description of this video, I will include links to listen to the album on Spotify. I'll try to include as many links as I can, so that if I can find a link tree thing or something so you can just click all the different websites and listen to the album however you want. I highly recommend trying to listen to the album with us, even if you have to play it on your end yourself. I know it's frustrating and it's not the easiest thing to do. I totally get it, but I think it would be beneficial to listen along with us, because if you are unfamiliar with my channel, what I tend to focus on here is album production, music production. I talk about maybe how things were recorded in the studio, why things sound the way they sound, the stereo mix, volume mixing, different gains of things, balancing issues, frequency issues, things like that. Don't tend to focus on the meanings or messages of songs very much. So we'll just kind of see what happens as we go through this. this is also the first time that we have gone through this process together remotely, Cody. So that means that I think what we're going to try to do for the formula of this video is we will listen to a song and talk to each other a little bit maybe while it's going on, but for the most part, listen, and then we'll do a majority of the talking about the song in between tracks. So we'll listen to a song, we'll pause it, and we'll pause the album, and then we'll move on from there, like with our conversation, then go to the next song. That's what I'm anticipating. So
should work.
With that in mind, let's just get into Blur, because when we talked a lot about Blur in our Park Life video, so please feel free to head over there and check that video out and just listen to the first like half hour or so of the video where I was kind of going through the history of Blur just very briefly. And also it was Cody's first time sort of hearing that the guy who sings for the Gorillaz is also the same guy that sings for Blur, who Damon Albarn is, right? And I introduced him to all the members of the band and everything. And so we did a lot of talking there, so we don't need to go over all of that in this video. I do just want to point out I have my Great Escape poster behind me here again. I had it in the last video too, but I just want to say that for me personally, The Great Escape is my favorite Blur album. It's the album that came one album after Park Life, which is the one we listened to, Cody. Mm-hmm. And I enjoy Park Life a lot as well. Park Life is maybe my second, and then would probably be the album before Park Life, which is Modern Life is Rubbish. I love those three albums. That trilogy of albums is absolutely fantastic. I personally have not really cared for any of the music that Blur has basically released since 1995. There are good songs on their albums since then. However, I do not think that they have made like a fantastic album since Great Escape. We don't need to go into the whole history of Blur and everything, but for this album, The Ballad of Darren, I am very trepidatious, and I'll say it that way, because when the Magic Whip came out in 2015, it was just like a huge deal. It was sort of tied to the Olympics. They played a huge show, and it was like a big deal. I have that on Blu-ray. I was going to go get all my Blur Blu-rays. I have them on my shelf back there, but I forgot to go get them. But I've got like the show on Blu-ray, so like it was a big deal. And I enjoy this album, but honestly, none of the songs on this album kind of stick with me. I was trying to listen to them a little bit before we started here because I haven't listened to this album, honestly, in probably like 5 years or so. And what I was reminded of was the fact that a lot of these songs, once they start and there's some like really cool, interesting sounds, and then the song's basically the same thing for however long the song is. There's not much like changing musically. And the songs just kind of are lots of repeating patterns and things. And I just don't feel like the songs really ever go anywhere, at least not anywhere interesting, at least after the first like a minute of the song. So like the first minute of the song is where you're introduced to all the sort of like different cool keyboards and you know, the bass pattern and the rhythm and all these different things. And that's like cool. A lot of the songs have like a really neat groove to them. There's lots of acoustic guitar strumming, Cody, because I know you've never heard this album. There's lots of acoustic guitar strumming. There's the bass is really thick. It's going to be really interesting for you to hear this album because you haven't heard any Blur since Park Life. And I mentioned in the last video that they really changed their sound. Each one of their albums since then has had lots of sort of like longer stretched out droney parts in their music where they'll just like sort of play very slowly and very sort of minimalistically for like minutes at a time with a few vocals added here and there, which is completely different than anything we heard on Park Life.
Yeah, there wasn't really anything like that.
Yeah, and so we'll see. But again, I haven't heard any of this album, so I don't know if they kind of have gone back in time and trying to like harken back to like their early part of their career. I did read online that they were all very excited to get back together and do this because I know with the Magic Whip, that was the first time they had gotten back together after having a pretty bad fallout. And so them getting back together for the Magic Whip, they made that album like totally. This album is called The Magic Whip, Cody. It's an awesome album title. I love that, The Magic Whip. Yeah. But they made this album really differently than they had made any of their previous albums, and I think it was kind of difficult for them to put it together. But I was reading online about the Ballad of Darren, and they all had really positive things to say about it. They were really excited to play this big show in Wembley that they played, I think, 2 weeks ago. We had someone on our Park Life video actually comment that they were at the Wembley show. They were there, and they said it was the best show they've ever been to, which I can imagine. I don't know if you've seen any pictures of it, Cody, or not, but there was like, I mean, there must have been 50,000 people there or more. I mean, it was insane. And I'm hoping they recorded that and they released that on some sort of a DVD or Blu-ray at some point. But I know it was a big deal for them all to do that. And so other than that, I don't know that much about this album. I don't know what it's going to entail. I know that it's the shortest album they've ever produced. They've never had an album that was less than 50 minutes long until they created this one. And this album itself is, I believe, let me get rid of my Taylor Swift song here that I had in my player.
I should have it up here.
So the version we're going to be listening to is the deluxe edition, which has 2 bonus songs on it, the Rabbi and the Swan, which sounds like a hilarious joke. But we're going to be the length of the album, even with the 2 bonus songs, is 42 minutes. Yeah, it looks like 42.
Yep, 42.
Yeah, 42 minutes, 32 seconds, 26. I have
42:32.
I have 42:26.
Oh, well.
How could it possibly be different? That's really strange.
I don't know.
In any case, just shy of 45 minutes. So, not a super long album. And I do have in the mail on the way to me, I hope it was probably shipped today, my deluxe copy of the album on CD. So this is the first album this year, Cody, that I purchased before I heard it.
Yeah.
Because I haven't been doing that because a lot of my favorite bands have been really letting me down this year with production. They've had just terrible albums that sound terrible.
And it's a bad year for production.
It's been really, really bad, especially for a lot of these bands that are like huge, internationally well-known bands, for some reason just making these terrible decisions. Before we get into listening to it, though, I just want to point out, I pointed this out in the last video as well, but I do have this. This is my Blur 21, this Blur 21 box set. It has 21 discs in here. 21 discs. Sorry, I just noticed like it totally blocks me from the microphone, of course. And then, sorry. But there's like a bunch of DVDs, all of their albums up to Think Tank, remastered, and each containing a bonus disc. And then a bunch of like DVDs and rarities. And there's even a vinyl in here of their original, when they were originally called Seymour before they decided to be called Blur. I showed this off a lot as well in our Park Life video.
So since the Park Life video, I listened to the album again at work, Park Life, and I didn't really listen that closely, but I enjoyed it again. There's been one song that's been stuck in my head since Park Life.
Okay.
Do you know, can you guess which one it is?
Let me guess. Was it TRACY Jacks?
Yes, it's TRACY
Jacks.
It still enters my mind about once a day.
See, and I knew that because that song's been stuck in my head this whole time too.
Yeah.
That's great. I love that.
It was definitely not my favorite song on the album.
I was going to say it wasn't. It wasn't for sure.
No, but
it's catchy. Bank Holiday is a good one too. Bank Holiday.
Yeah.
All that. I'm excited. I'm hoping we get sort of like a faster, punkier, heavier song here.
That'd be cool.
But it would be really cool if we got like a slower, heavier song, which they've done those a little bit in the past. And like I keep saying that they have their music's a little bit dronier. They definitely did get into sort of like almost like very, very light, sort of like doomy sounds on occasion. But I will also say Damon Albarn has been just all over the place with his own music the last decade. And I've mentioned in a lot of my videos that he has been making music for the last 10 years that really doesn't speak to me anymore. Because at one point I would have said that Damon Albarn is sort of like one of my musical idols and definitely someone who's been a very huge influence on me and all the music that I enjoy and the music that I've made myself for the last, like really honestly, for the last like 20, 25 years. But the last 10 years or so, he's just been making music that I haven't really connected with as much. And that kind of changed at the beginning of this year when the brand new Gorillaz album came out, because I do feel like the newest Gorillaz album, which the name of which is escaping my mind right now, that's the best thing that I think Damon has released in quite a while, at least in terms of my style. I don't want to say that anything he's done has been bad. It just hasn't really been for me. And I really enjoyed the newest Gorillaz album. So I'm really hoping that I think this Blur album is even better than that album, though I do not think that will be the case. I think if I'm being honest, I have low expectations for this, and I think that that's just because I don't really see them existing in the space that they used to exist when I used to love their music. Does that make sense? Like, they're definitely not the same people anymore, and they're so different that I don't know if they're going to be making any of the music that drew me to them initially in the first place. Does that make sense?
I think so, yeah. But I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and we'll just have to listen to it.
You're a big fan of bands making comebacks, so.
Yes, I definitely am.
This is really a comeback, but they've already done that.
Well, and one thing I did find that I thought was really cool on their wiki page that I did not know, but the last couple of years, for people who watch my channel, you might know that I have a very large CD collection, over 3,000 CDs, and I've been slowly adding it to my Discogs account and to my Discogs sort of like collection. But whenever I go somewhere and there's CDs, I always look through all the CDs and try to find things that are interesting, things that look, even if I don't know what they are, I'll take a chance on something if it's a decent price. And over the last few years, I've managed to buy a few of Graham Coxon's solo albums, and I've really enjoyed those a lot. Which Cody, I don't know if you remember, Graham is the guitar player for Blur. Yeah. So he is I think maybe even my favorite part of Blur. I definitely love Damon and everything he does, but one of the things to me that makes Blur so unique, especially on those 3 albums we were mentioning, The Modern Life is Rubbish, Park Life, and Great Escape, the guitar playing is absolutely insane and nuts. And you can hear me talk about that a lot in our Park Life video. But his solo music is very acoustic, and it's very eclectic, and some of it's very sparse, but some of it's very poppy. I don't necessarily enjoy his singing voice as much, but it's all sounds really good, and it's very catchy and interesting. But I did find out reading the wiki page that Graham was one of the people that worked on, and basically I think the head producer for the soundtrack to what might be my favorite Netflix show of all time, and one of my favorite TV shows in general. And that's The End of the Effin' World on Netflix. It is absolutely one of my favorite things ever. And I love the cinematography and the music in that show. And I did not know that Graham Coxon had anything to do with that. So finding that out, I was like, oh, that's really cool. Now, we've been, I think, 5 or 6 years since the second and final season of that show came out. So I don't think that will have any sort of, won't have any impact on this, but we'll have to see. One last thing I wanted to say was that you asked me last time how I got into Blur and the first Blur album that I got. And I had forgotten what it was until I was looking through all my Blur CDs for this video. My first Blur album was this one. This is Blur's Greatest Hits.
Oh.
It's got all of their big singles on it. And then there's a second disc that has sort of just like rarities and stuff and just live stuff. And it actually was recorded at Wembley in 1999. And I actually have the DVD that comes, it was sold separate, but there's a DVD version of this as well that has all of these songs on here, their music videos. Oh, cool. So it's got all of their music videos on it and like some live footage and everything. So I have both of those things. But this was the first Blur thing I got. And it was very lucky that I did because it sort of introduced me to the wide breadth of the giantness that is Blur's different sort of like styles that they've gone throughout their career.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of, I think, maybe one of the reasons I was really willing to explore them more than I would have been for something from the 90s, because I've talked about before that the 90s is my least favorite decade of music. And so having their greatest hits, I think, was a big help to me when I first sort of started discovering them after I had fallen in love with the Gorillaz' first album. So
that's cool.
I do also want to point out, just because I have it sitting here, I took the time to find it. This is my one Gorillaz vinyl, Plastic Beach. Don't need it.
I love that album cover.
Yeah.
I remember thinking that was really cool when that came out.
Well, and one of the coolest things about the Gorillaz is all of the artwork. And we didn't talk about that at all last time because we weren't doing a Gorillaz album. And I would love it if you would want to do a Gorillaz album sometime. But
maybe.
One of the coolest things about the Gorillaz is that Jamie Hewlett has done all of the artwork for the Gorillaz. And he was known at the time, before they even started, for doing a very famous graphic novel called Tank Girl. Have you heard of that?
Oh, I know. I've seen the movie.
Yeah, which the movie was based off the graphic novel.
Okay, sure.
It's very kind of a Mad Maxy type of thing, but very stylistic. And Jamie Hewlett did the artwork for that. And all the Gorillaz artwork is very similar to that sort of style, but his artwork in and of itself is worth its own documentary and whole episode of whatever you're watching because it's so fantastic. And the amount of effort that he and Damon put into things and the different things that get referenced and the brands the fictional brands that he has created for their t-shirts and all these different things are absolutely amazing. And they get sponsorships to use real things like real instruments and things in their artwork and everything. And so it's really fascinating.
So he did the artwork that's on your shirt as well as that album cover?
Yep, he did the artwork that's everything.
It's such a different style.
Well, because the thing is, actually...
Well, we don't need to get too deep into it, I guess.
No, we don't need to get too deep into it.
I don't want to start a whole rabbit hole
because
here.
the thing is, the Gorillaz started out as 2D, but eventually they became computerized.
Oh, okay. It's like part of their mythos.
Lore, yeah. And then because... Noodle became a cyborg for a while. Spoiler alert. Okay. Noodle wasn't actually Noodle for a while. The real Noodle got abducted and she was a cyborg. And then the real Noodle came back and defeated cyborg Noodle. And then actually for a while, the Gorillaz, they tried to become real people and it didn't work and it backfired on them. And so then they've had to go.
Oh dear.
The cool, like Damon Albarn and Jamie Hewlett have been trying to make a Gorillaz movie since 2003. Like, they have been trying so hard. And you would think that would be a super easy thing to greenlight for any studio. Like, one of the...
Well, with all the anime stuff they're greenlighting these days, yeah.
Yes, and not even just so much that's like the popularity of the Gorillaz. Like, you know, especially with all the amazing lore that they have built up over it. But anyway, we don't need to talk about the Gorillaz.
Yeah, no, we're good.
So, all right, before we get into it, I have one more thing I want to do. Look right here on my table. I'll be right back with you in a second. So for today's video, I've got nothing too special, just a good old Mountain Dew Summer Freeze.
I had those in the fridge. I could have brought one of those down.
That's all right. We don't have to coordinate our drinks.
No, we could have, though.
We could have.
I am drinking a squirt. Regular squirt.
Nothing wrong with that. I had a comment on one of my videos, Cody, that someone commented and said, Patrick, you have to drink a clear liquid. So he said, clear liquid drinking challenge, Patrick. So in the next Metallica video, I'm going to have a clear beverage.
Well, what is Mountain Dew's clear?
He's just saying.
Uh-oh.
Hold on, it's attached to my
You're frozen. Oh dear. It's like a catastrophe there.
If that would have pulled everything that would have been. Now I stained this blanket forever. This is stained.
Okay. That's going to become the canon of the show now.
Oh, what an idiot I am.
You can tell the videos that we recorded after and before this video now.
Because there's a blue stain here. Come out, stain. Dang it.
Just flip it over.
What an idiot.
So Mountain Dew would not be considered. Would this be considered clear?
No.
It's pretty cloudy.
No. It's got to be like a Sprite,
okay.
You know, something that doesn't have any color added to it.
Okay.
Now, that's how I took to interpret it, at least.
Yeah, so get some Crystal Pepsi for him.
Well, I'm going to drink... Well, I'm not going to spoil what I'm going to drink. I already got it. I bought it special for it, so...
Okay. Water?
No, I would never buy water. We have a very good well here with really good drinkable water.
You do have the best well water.
Yeah.
Very jealous.
Yeah, you should be. But you also have a brilliant, awesome... new home, new house.
And I don't have to pay for a gigabyte of internet that I use.
Don't even get me started. All right, are we ready?
I am ready.
You have the songs pulled up.
Yep.
All right. Oh, one thing I was going to say, Darren, the Ballad of Darren. The Darren they're referring to is a guy that has worked for Blur for many years as a bodyguard, and he has been working for just Damon Albarn now for several years, and they were going to originally put a picture of him on the cover of the album. However, they decided not to do that because they didn't want him to be become the face of this album or anything, because he's kind of a quiet guy. But I guess he was really important to them. And I read there was a quote in an interview from an interview with Damon, and he said the album is not about him, but they're kind of using him as a way to sort of as a lens into the culture of the time when they were writing this, which is this last few years. Because remember, we talked during Park Life about how Blur specifically has a lot of lyrics that reference specific people and specific places in England. And even if we look here, we have St. Charles Square, which is a specific place. We have
the Everglades for Leonard.
Yeah. We have the Rabbi, you know. So like there's the album itself is called The Ballad of Darren. Mm-hmm. So like already we're seeing lots of things here that are very Blur-ish to me. So that kind of gets me a little hyped for it, but we'll just have to see. Okay. All right. Enough talk. Track 1, The Ballad, in 3, 2, 1. Okay.
I just look to my life.
A piano and a drum beat.
Sounds like a ballad.
It sounds like a gorilla song.
Oh, can't you see?
Damon plays piano and keys. So.
Comes for you. It comes like me.
A lot of reverb on the piano. I love Graham Coxon's background vocals, always. Oh. Dude, this sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
This sounds so good. I was not expecting that. Ooh. Whoa.
That's cool.
Yes. That organ is neat.
Yeah.
That almost could have been a baritone guitar. Like an old Dwayne Eddy sounding thing. The strings are awesome too. Dude, I am so hyped now. I was not expecting this. The rest of the album might be terrible, I don't know, but this sounds really good, really high fidelity. Spread very wide. Oh, yes.
So you liked it?
Yes. That shocked me how great that was. They only did the chorus, I think, twice in there. So it was the structuring was a little weird. And that was definitely one of the things that stood out with me with the Magic Whip. Like it was basically lots of repeating parts. There weren't necessarily stereotypical song structures. Mm-hmm. And that's something Blur's been doing since basically 1996. They've been doing slightly different song structures. The song didn't fade out, which was really great. we made a mistake on the Parklife video and never went back and counted, but I think we counted after the fact that there was 9 of the 15 or 16 songs faded out, which is a failing grade for fade outs. But I had been prepared for it, so I wasn't raging in the moment for the video. If the rest of the songs on this album fade out, I will be very pissed, especially because of the fidelity of what we just heard. Like, in my opinion, that was phenomenal sounding. So what did you think about it?
The little interludes with the organ, or I don't even know what, there's like 3 or 4 instruments in a row there that were kind of weird. I really like that part.
Yes. It kind of reminded me a little bit of like almost like a 60s spy movie, but like the chill music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
You know, it wasn't James Bondy, but it was like the chill.
Like when James Bond is in the lounge or something.
Yes, yeah. It was kind of jazzy, but not necessarily. And the second time they played that part, I really do think that Graham was playing a baritone guitar. So, which a baritone guitar is just a guitar that has, it has an extra string on it that is tuned separately, and it's basically a lower tuned string. So you can go to do lower notes. And at least I'm pretty sure that's what a baritone guitar is, because I'm pretty sure. It's been a while, and I've never actually played a baritone guitar, though I've always wanted one. But a lot of metal bands use stuff like that. I don't know if they necessarily refer to it as a baritone guitar, but a lot of metal bands, like djenty metal bands that are super, super heavy, they use those, they down-tune their guitars, and then they have that extra down-tuned string to do like super low stuff. But it's very spaghetti westerny, like Dwayne Eddy played stuff like that. You hear baritone guitars on country western music, I feel, is the genre that they use it in the most. And I could be wrong. Maybe it wasn't even a baritone guitar, but it definitely sounded very twangy, very sparse. It wasn't in there in the song very much, but it was definitely in there. I thought the clarity of everything on the sides, the stereo image was very wide. The clarity of everything, like Damon's vocals right in the middle were, I think, really good volume the whole time. It's crazy thinking where the song started with just the very reverby piano and then that drum beat, which Damon is very famous. We didn't touch on this last time, Cody, but Damon is very famous for just using presets on keyboards and just like playing a drum beat that was preloaded into this little $50 kid's toy or something.
Sure.
He'll just record that, and that's what he builds a whole song off of those little like drum beat loop things. And so that definitely sounded like that's what that was at the beginning, but it was mixed in there really well. And the compression on it with Damon's vocals, the way they were working together was really nice. And I thought that was a great way to start the song. But then when everything came in, I was just like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. So what a great start to the album.
Yeah, it was great.
Now, I was going to ask, do you focus on lyrics very much? I don't think you do.
No, I guess not. I guess in like rap, maybe.
Because that's the only thing to listen to, really.
Yeah, I guess. So but like I can enjoy lyrics when I am listening for them.
Yeah.
But
did you get any?
In the Parklife one, I was enjoying some of their lyrics.
Yeah.
Not in this. No. It all just kind of like washed over me.
Right, and it was so interesting to listen to the music. It was hard for me to even focus on the vocals once everything kicked in. But he did mention that the ballad was coming for you or something. So I thought that was a really interesting thing to say. I don't know if that's a comment on like slow songs or something. I don't know, but that's kind of interesting to think about. I am not going to open the lyrics and read them as we listen along. I've done that occasionally, but I'm not going to do that for this. All right, are you ready to move on to track 2?
Yep.
All right, this is St. Charles Square, and it is a little bit longer than the first track. I have no idea what to expect now. The inclusion of the strings on that first song was kind of shocking to me. So that's the kind of the great thing about Blur. That St. Charles Square could be anything.
Yeah, I'm not expecting any more strings.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Like,
I'm just basing off the Parklife album, where it's like every single thing was like coming at you from a completely different direction.
Yeah, they stopped doing that kind of later on, so I wouldn't necessarily expect that here, but I don't know.
Okay.
I was expecting strummed acoustic guitar a lot because that was what was on the Magic Whip.
Okay.
So I would expect a little bit more of that, but I don't know. Starting it with piano was very surprising to me. So, all right, St. Charles Square, are you ready?
Yep.
In 3, 2, 1. Whoa. That's a strange stereo image on a guitar, on the drum set, right? Like the snare is way on one side.
Oh.
The kick's way on the other.
I'm not the first to do it. Must forgo now. Your smile off the wall beige. I'm fixtures and fittings now. Call me out, but call me. 'Cause there's something down here and it's living under the floorboards. It's grabbed me round the neck with its long
But these lyrics are cool.
Don't leave me here, baby.
Ooh.
Leave me completely.
That was very different for him. That was like almost Elvis-y.
'Cause I might not get back to myself at
God, those drums are so strange. I can't get over them. It's cool, though.
Yeah.
St. Charles Square. This year's migration. Basement flat with window bars. Pole is outside. Spare me the gloaters and the pain. I don't want it anymore. 'Cause there's something down here and it's living under the floorboards. It's up and down the clock of the town, all back in time. Oh, I'll ride with you, baby, I'll ride with you forever. But we might not get back to ourselves at all. No, Tesco disco. The room is shrinking fast around me. It grabbed me by the ankle and pulled me under. Loneliness, I've been here before. 'Cause every generation has its gilded poses with vibrations in the basement. I don't like this scene. Police ghosts come back to haunt me. Think I'm gonna.
What a...
I like that.
Well, I was going to say, I bet you liked that song.
Yeah. That was great.
The drums just... The moment it started, I was like, what? I think what they did was they recorded... It sounded to me like they recorded the drums with like there's different ways you can record drums. And it sounded like they had... It's hard to guess, but I would guess that they recorded the drums for this song with kind of like a 5150 approach, which I think I mentioned to you before, Cody, about how they would, when we were doing the Led Zeppelin, they would put a microphone 50 inches above the snare drum and then right ahead of it 51 inches, like even with the kick. And it sounds to me like, and I'm not saying they did exactly that exact spacing, but like somehow they recorded the drums with they could have done it with more than one signal, but I would just, for the ease of sake, I'll say they used 3 microphones, right? One microphone kind of near the snare and the hi-hat and the tom, and one microphone on like kind of as like an overhead or something. And then what they did was they just panned one all the way to the left and one all the way to the right. And then in the middle was like the sub kick track, which is like just the like woofy sort of like low part of the kick and not necessarily any of the like the snappy part of the kick, because there definitely was some like kick drum signal in the very middle. Otherwise I think it would have been too crazy. Like it was kind of grounded in the middle. And then the bass guitar was in the middle as well, and the bass guitar was very low as well, so that the low frequencies were kind of in the middle, along with just like screeching howling guitar the entire time. Just like,
yeah, I love the guitar. That's what stood out to me.
I was okay.
What is that, like overdriven? Is that what?
Overdriven, okay. Yeah, and fuzz.
It sounded like almost exactly like the first thing I thought of was the God who does it, the theme song to Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
Oh,
which
okay.
I don't know. You've probably never heard that, but I think that's Sonny Sharrock, who was like an old timey guitar player. And he had a specific sound. It sounded almost exactly like that.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that sound's been used a lot of places before.
Sure. That is a very Graham Coxon thing, to like use the guitar as more of like a sound effect and like an eerie, like crazy thing almost, rather than like a stereotypical guitar thing. And then as the song went on, I feel like there was a few more there were more tracks of guitar in there kind of just doing sort of like more stereotypical stuff, kind of balancing it all. But then there was like that weird little part in the middle. Again, we didn't get like a very clear like chorus. Like it's hard for me to, I can't even really point out what the chorus was in that song.
No.
There were different parts to it, but whether or not there was like a chorus.
The part where he was talking about it, like something under the floorboards, I think that was repeated the chorus times, I guess.
Yeah, and that was really neat. I think Damon's voice was recorded and put very well into these mixes. Like he's singing with his lower register voice a lot more, which I really like. That's kind of a little bit more of like a Gorillaz thing, I think. But Damon Albarn is much older now, and generally as people get older, their voices get slightly deeper, and so it's probably easier for him to sing deeper. Not that he can't sing high. I'm sure we'll hear him sing higher stuff later on throughout the album. But I really like his lower register voice, and using that on both these first 2 songs was really nice, and his voice is really cutting through the really weird instruments, you know? Mm-hmm. I have to tell you, your video is totally glitching. Like... Yeah, you're like freezing and stuff. Which,
sorry,
I know we didn't explain any of this to anybody, but we spent a long time setting this up, trying to get it so that I had better internet signal, and I don't know if it's helping or not. But
it's, I mean, my CPU's not maxed out, and your video's fine. So something between our connections.
Yeah, I don't know. My video's always been fine when we've been recording those. So like, at least on my end, what I'm seeing, it's usually remote Chris who's having the issues. But because there were a few times where I was sitting here and I was going to tell you, if it would make it easier for you, you don't have to leave the video of Streamlabs up, like when we're listening. Like it might be.
No, I like having it up.
Okay, because I was going to say that kind of throws Chris Schoenberg off. So
I like to be able to see myself, and I like to be able to see you.
Okay.
So
in case I go, wait, stop! I've been stabbed by a stranger or something like that.
Yes, exactly.
You want to see the stabbing happen, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is the video still messed up?
No, it's it was stuttering a little bit there. It was stuttering there. So It is what it is. But I want to just point it out to everybody. Like it is going to be what it is. Yeah. But
audio should be fine.
Yeah, the audio should be totally fine. So we're not going to worry about it. Of the 2 songs, you like the second one better?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, I would definitely say the first one, but
and I wouldn't say I like his lower voice better. So we have not reached what I would consider their peak, I guess.
Okay.
I think there's probably going to be more that I like more than that.
Okay. We'll see. That's something to definitely pay attention to. All right, the next song is Barbaric. You ready?
Yep.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
There's one of those drum beats from the keyboard you're talking about?
Mm-hmm. Dude, the drums sound so good, though. Whoa!
Who blinks first? You're gonna win. The fallen dubs of lovers' vows in the world. I'd like if you got the time to talk to you about what this breakup has done to me. I have lost the feeling that I thought I'd never lose. Now where am I going? Not what caused the feeling that I thought I'd never lose. It is barbaric. You can't play.
Ooh, that bass.
Taste the powder keg of common cause. All of us carry trauma, and in lieu of an explanation,
God, it just sounds so good.
I will pour from the cup on the power of abdication. You have lost the feeling that you thought you'd never lose. Now where are you going, darling? At what cost? The feeling that you thought you'd never lose. And it is barbaric. Empty grove, winter darkness. We're taking down the scaffolds very soon. Grow dapple the lonely balls on the plane tree. A can of soup and 18 up to 10, which leads me to the part where we agreed on different dreams that we'd lost. The feeling that we thought we'd never lose. Now where are we going? At what cost? The feelings that we thought we'd never lose. It is barbaric. We have lost the feeling that we thought we'd never lose.
This song's gonna fade out, isn't it? Because I love it so much.
Where are we going? We have lost.
You just watch. It's gonna fade out.
We thought we'd never lose.
Sounds like a fader.
I hope it doesn't. I hope it doesn't.
It is barbaric, darling. We have lost the feeling that we thought we'd never lose. Now where are we going? We have
Prove me wrong, Blur.
the feeling that we thought we'd never lose.
I like those strings at the end.
I love it, right? Woohoo! Woohoo!
That.
Dude. Okay, okay, I got something to say. I got something to say.
All right.
Are we listening to the #1 album of the year right now? This is shocking me. How can you have a mix like that, Cody, where every single instrument sounds like the loudest thing that you're listening to? That's not possible. I was listening to the bass and I was like, this is too loud. Then I was listening to the guitar and I was like, this is too loud. Then I was listening to the drums and I was like, this is too loud. Then I was listening to the vocals and I was like, this is too loud. And I was like, this is not possible. It's not possible to have something that sounds like that. Every instrument has to be in its own like frequency pocket, and it just sounds phenomenal. It sounds so good, right?
Yeah, it sounds good to me. It's not exactly blowing my mind like you, but I don't have the context.
Well, I had low expectations, but like this is the best. These 3 songs, like probably the 3 best Blur songs they've written since 1995. Like that's nuts. It sounds so good. And the thing is, like, that guitar part that happened at the beginning a couple times during the verses, that like, like I'm like, oh my God, that sounds awesome. I wish that kind of would have come back at the end a little bit, but you know, they were just growing it and letting the background vocals come in and everything. And so, but man, just the bass had this weird space to it. Like, definitely they recorded the bass with multiple microphones and then had them kind of spread out, because it didn't sound like a bass with like reverb added to it. It sounded like a bass that was wide. It was strange. It was strange, but it fits so well with what was happening. I just can't get over it. I mean, it sounded very reminiscent of like, I don't even know what. I don't even know what I can compare that to. Like, that sounded like something Dan Auerbach would make from the Black Keys. Like, that sounded like the Arcs album that came out earlier this year that I keep forgetting about. And every time I think about it and go back and listen to it, I'm like, well, this is like one of the best albums of the year. Like, it sounded like something he would make, but it had that weird blurriness to it. Like, the guitar was strange, but just gorgeous when it came in and played. And the strings coming in there towards the end on the far outsides of the mix so that you could actually hear what they were doing. Yeah. That was masterful.
I don't have much to add to that. I mean, I liked it.
I can't get over it. This is amazing.
Yeah, I'm glad you're loving it.
If the whole rest of the album is this level or better, we may be listening to my number one album of the year, which I never in a billion years would have. Now, I'm totally probably jumping the gun, and from here on out, the album's going to be disappointing. Yeah. But even if that's the case, I don't care. Like, you watching this, you can tell how excited I am for this. Like, this is legitimately doing it for me. This is exactly... I never would have thought that this album sounded this good and the songs would be this interesting and that they didn't fade out. Like, oh my gosh. Dude, yeah, that was easily my favorite of the 3 songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still on St. Charles Square.
Okay, let's keep track of that. Okay, the next track is Russian Strings. So what I don't know what to...
There will be no strings at all.
I was going to say there's no strings at all. Okay, are you ready?
Yep.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, it's the Dolby sound effect.
It sounded like it.
Where are you now? Are you coming back?
Dude, the space. It sounds like Dolby Atmos or something. Like, yeah. It does. I want to hear this album in surround sound. Wait, there is a surround sound mix, right? Because
I don't know.
No, they have that. They had that. You could buy it on that website, the Blu-ray version of it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, hold on. Don't get distracted. I'm talking to myself. Do you like this register of his voice a little more?
I don't know. I guess I like the really upbeat, poppy, more punk sounding of that album, which that must not be what they are anymore, which is fine.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what we get. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would guess there'll be one faster, heavier song. There's got to be.
Okay.
That's what I would guess.
Yeah, this one reminds me more of the ballad.
Yeah. For Tomorrow or... Dude, all the ooey background things, that's so Blur.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that as much on the albums between what you've heard and this one.
Flew to Belgrade, stayed in a hotel, sinking, went to museum, tobacco and midway, grave digger.
I'm having a hard time understanding the lyrics.
I was just thinking that too.
I guess it's just his accent.
Yeah. He's slurring a little bit too.
Yeah, he is.
I think it's a stylistic choice on this song.
There's nothing fake on earth. The strings attached to all of us. There's nothing in the end.
There's a warble on those background vocals. They're going, ha, 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 ha. That's really interesting.
Pull the lever down. stars.
Whoa.
I love that. That's kind of like an Asian sounding thing.
Yeah.
Ah.
It's a weird song. Is that a fade out?
I'm not going to count it because
They ended it properly, right?
Okay, so now we've come to the first negative thing I have to say.
Okay.
That was only 2/3 of a song.
Oh, really?
Or maybe at most 3/4 of a song, right? it felt like they should have done something and then gone back into the song again at the end there. It felt way too short to me.
I guess I could see that. It didn't really strike me that way when I was listening to it, but I also don't think that very often about any songs.
Right, and that's like the only thing I always think about.
I wonder, this next song's it's less than 3 minutes, so I wonder
maybe that'll be a faster, punkier one. But
yeah, maybe.
Now, once I said that, the there's a surround mix of this, that was all I could think of. I was like, oh my God. Because I found they posted on their Facebook page, and I thought that I had talked to you about this, but maybe I was talking to Remote Chris about this. There was a website that they posted where you could go buy their album, and it was like $25 for a special Blu-ray copy of it.
Yeah. You sent me a website, not necessarily related to Blur, but it was a lot of like Blu-ray editions of albums.
Okay, I did. Okay, I'm gonna look through. Oh, we've messaged each other so many times. There's no way I'd be able to find that. Okay, hold on. Let me just look for this real quick. I think this will be interest if I can find it.
I will. On superdeluxeedition.com.
Yes, superdeluxeedition.com.
Blur's new album is being released on Blu-ray audio, Dolby Atmos mix.
Yes. See, isn't that crazy? I'm just listening to the regular stereo mix, but I knew there was something with the way that it was done.
Yeah.
I'll bet that sounds stunning in Dolby Atmos. And that's coming from a person who's never heard anything in Dolby Atmos. Have you ever heard anything with Dolby Atmos?
No, I've never even been around a system that could do that.
Well, I think the thing nowadays is that headphones have that technology, right?
Oh, yeah.
Headphones with
How can they? I don't understand it.
Don't ask me. I don't know. Well, I mean, I probably could tell you, but
I don't understand how virtual surround sound. I don't even understand how surround sound works with our ears when we only have 2 ears. So,
well,
how does that make any sense?
It has
I
to
guess
do
it's the time delay of things hitting you. You know where things are in front of you and stuff.
Right. And also the fact that your ears are on the sides of your head, so that you have there's a spatial awareness of how your ears, because when you record things in binaural, which is like a kind of a fancy thing that people talk about sometimes,
you put the microphones where your ears would be,
and then you put something that's roughly the same density and size as a human head in between them, and it creates a very. I got to turn my phone on silent, and then it puts it sounds like someone's actually it's like a super high fidelity stereo.
Yeah, and I've listened to that. Like stuff recorded that way, and it does sound different. Yeah,
it's there's very little practical use for it ever, and I have some albums that I've heard, but
except for ASMR people.
Yeah, well, in video games, surround sound stuff all the time, so they can record stuff in binaural. But honestly, a lot of the times it doesn't need that at all. So, but this album with how phenomenal it sounds, and just let's disregard that because we're not listening to the surround sound mix. I wish we could, but the way they're using the space, right? Like you hear. You can close your eyes and imagine the space that they're in. And I was talking about this with my Taylor Swift reaction that will hopefully be uploaded later today or tomorrow, which will be way before this video gets edited and posted. But actually, they might get posted on the same day. But anyway.
If you really love this one, you might want to push this one out.
Well, I do. Right. But the thing is, I'm going to have to re-upload it with no music in it and stuff. So, but anyway, the thing that I commented on with the Taylor Swift's Speak Now Taylor version album is that it sounded like the stereo spectrum was really wide, and it sounded like every single thing was recorded as well as it could, and it was all like the same volume, right?
Yeah.
Whereas, which nowadays with like high fidelity music and stuff and super hyper like focusing on EQ and different frequencies, you can do something like that and have it still sound clear and good. Whereas back in the day, frequencies would have been all jumbled up. And so you had to have like a lead thing that you focused on. And then you sort of put everything else underneath that, right?
Yeah.
Whereas nowadays you can kind of wrap sounds around something. It's sort of nebulous to explain it this way, but you can wrap things around the lead instrument rather than having the lead instrument or the lead thing you're listening to sit on top of things. And so it all has to do with like frequencies and where you place things on the stereo spectrum and balancing. And it's a very tough thing to do correctly, but this is doing that so well. The mix is fantastic. And it astonishes me because I would not have said that any of their previous albums were like super high fidelity, like masterfully mixed and recorded. Like, I think they were all done really well and better than average for sure. But like, not to this degree. Like, we are listening to something that's special sounding right now. Like, this is very unique and special sounding. And that's the thing that's sort of like shocking me more than even what I'm hearing is just how good what I'm hearing is. So
awesome.
Yeah, that was the weakest song on the album in my opinion though, because it felt like only 2/3 of a song in my opinion. Yeah. But so far every song has really only had 2 parts.
Right.
That they've just kind of repeated. Right. And they're a little bit longer, so they can it feels like full songs up until that one. So now we've got the Everglades for Leonard, which is really interesting because the Everglades are in Florida, which is in the United States. So we'll have to see. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right. For Leonard, which is the name of our grandpa.
Oh, yeah.
3, 2, 1. Now I'm just thinking all these sound effects in 3D. Oh my God, that acoustic guitar. Cody, my head is inside the guitar. How?
I wish I'd taken many times.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Oh my God, it sounds so good.
Yeah.
How?
It seems to be way beyond the bends. There be songs to play.
This song's gonna feel way too short too.
It's all halfway over already.
I know. And they haven't. To me, this is like verse 1. Right?
Yeah.
And calmer days will arrive.
I can hear that Casio beat again.
Yep.
Now that you mention it, they do use that a lot.
Yeah, all the time. It's a calling card for Damon. One chorus in this song, apparently.
In this world been lost ever since.
Dude, those little tappy things. What is that? It's weird.
We're not gonna shy away. We're growing tall with the pain. We're searching the Everglades, pursuing God with change. And furthermore, I think it's just too late.
What is that sound effect?
It's a guitar pedal that's a loop pedal.
Oh, okay.
Just going constantly, and then you could turn knobs and stuff. This is the kind of crap that they do. Okay, so they first of all, that was one of the most like amazing sounding acoustic guitar things I've ever heard in my life. Like we might be listening to one of the most high fidelity sounding things I've ever heard. Like this is insane. But now I'm gonna have to start talking about songwriting and stuff because I can't talk about the production anymore because it's literally some of the best thing I've ever heard in my life. But why would you waste all those amazing songs on those amazing sounds on a song that's just kind of bleh, right? That song was nothing. That song led nowhere and really had no purpose. That was more of an interlude sounding thing.
Yeah, I think it was.
Maybe that's what its intention is going to be. But now I'm worried that every song on the album is just going to be one or two thoughts, and then that's it, right? None of these songs are taking us on a journey. You know, they don't feel like we're going anywhere and coming back or anything like that. It's just a really cool sounding thing, and then maybe another really cool sounding part to come after it, and then you repeat those two things, and then the song's over. And this has been my criticism of Damon's music with the Gorillaz for years now. He refuses to write a third part to a song. There's only a verse and a chorus, and that's it. And if you repeat those two things, that's it. You have half a song, or like I said earlier, 2/3 of a song. Right. Why not just make an additional third part that you can have as a bridge in your song and then come back to the chorus? Or I don't even care if you don't come. I mean, I do care, but I would be even happier. Like, I don't know. We'll have to move on and see, because if that was more of like an interlude type of thing, then it was great and was one of the best interludes I've ever heard. If they want me to consider that a song, like a full fleshed out idea, I don't think so.
It felt like an interlude to me. I'm kind of hoping, I don't know, a lot of these, like those number 1, number 4, and number 5 have all kind of sounded in the same vein to me.
Slow, yeah.
Yeah, and kind of all of them have so far. And is that just what Blur is these days? Or is that just what this album is?
I mean,
it could still change.
Not necessarily. It's not what they did on the Magic Whip. No.
Okay.
But on their 2 albums that came after the one we listened to, which was their self-titled album, and then 13, which is the one with the B that looks like a 13, like a 13. Yeah. A lot of the songs on there were slower songs.
Okay.
And that's kind of what I meant when I was talking about the sort of like droniness of it.
Yeah.
A lot of the songs are just like, there would be like a distorted Casio drum beat, and then they would just play really slow parts over them for like 7 minutes. Like really long songs. Yeah. We don't have any of that here. No. So like I would almost have preferred that song, it built really nice, but why not have it come back down? Let me listen to some more of that amazing acoustic guitar and then build up one more time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't even care if there's only 2 parts to your song. If each part is a minute long, you know, but if you're only going to do 30 seconds and then I don't know, that song was weird. I don't know. I'm losing. You can tell this is not the number 1 album of the year anymore. However, this may be the best sounding thing I've ever heard. And in a year where that Ruin Brothers album came out, which I definitely also consider to be one of the best sounding albums I've ever heard, this is blowing that out of the water even. So.
Cool.
Okay, so the next track, The Narcissist, this was the single that they released for this album. This came out in May, back in May.
So this would have been what I heard.
This is I shouldn't have told you that and seen if you remember.
Oh, yeah, I guess we'll see. If it's the one like up like fast-paced song on this album, then I'll know.
Yeah, okay.
Because I feel like it was the one I heard was a little faster.
Okay. All right, well, are you ready?
Yep.
All right, this is The Narcissist in 3, 2, 1.
Looked in the mirror, so many people standing there. I walked towards them, into the floodlights. I heard no echo, there was
I like that. I like what you can hear Graham doing the background vocals. Does this sound familiar?
I think so, yeah.
Found my transcendence. It played in mono painted blue. You were the hero. I was the dark room. I'm a shining light in your eye. You probably shine it back on me, but I won't fall this time. With Godspeed, I'll heed the sign. I saw the solstice, the service station on the road. I took the acid under the white horses. My heart it quicker. I could not tear myself away.
The background vocals just make me smile. The echo parts.
Yeah.
See darkness, look away.
Is this song about doing drugs?
Light in your eyes.
He was talking about doing acid under the white horses.
Probably shining
That's what I heard, at least.
but I won't fall this time.
Are we gonna get a bridge?
Godspeed, I'll heed the
Give me a guitar solo. Why not?
oh glorious world. Oh potent wave, valleys gone wild. Connect us to love and keep us peaceful for a while. I'm a shining light in your eye. You probably shine it back on me, but I won't fall this time. With Godspeed, I heed the sign. I'm a shining light in your eye. You probably shine it back on me, but I won't fall this time. With Godspeed, I heed the signs. I won't fall this time. With Godspeed, I heed the signs.
Okay. They won me back a little bit. They won me back a little bit with that.
I didn't count the choruses there, but that was a proper song, right?
There was 3, yes.
All right.
That was a regularly structured song. Verse 1, chorus, verse 2, chorus, bridge, chorus, outro, which is great. That's what I want every song in the world to ever be. So,
No, man, you gotta allow for some concept songs.
no, you can stretch, like you can have a 7-minute guitar solo in the middle of those sections, but I want you to come back to the chorus at the end, or at least 2 times throughout the duration of the song.
Yeah.
I do think it's kind of cool when when a band does like maybe the first like 2/3 of a song and then they kind of change it completely and do something completely different. I mean, that's very progressive.
Sure.
But like I can understand that because again, they're taking you on a journey with the song, right? It feels like you're going someplace. But I would always prefer to have it come back. But I understand, But I thought that was really nice.
Yeah, this is my favorite one so far.
Okay, that's the one you heard. You think?
I think so. Yeah, it sounded fairly familiar.
The background vocals were just great. I loved it so much.
Yeah.
Loved so much. It was really great. Really great.
I love the first one they came in on was No Echo.
No echo. Which was hilarious because the whole time the delay on Damon's vocals was very distracting and kind of annoying.
Oh yeah.
But after a while, it just kind of worked itself into the song. But right when he first started, I was like, ugh, ugh. But then the background vocals came in and the drum beat kicked in a little bit more, and I was like, okay, I see what they're doing here. Yeah. And it didn't ruin the song for me or anything like that, but I did think that right away at the beginning. So yeah, but I love those backing vocals. They made me smile the entire time. They were so cheeky. So, all right, I'm ready to move on. Are you?
Yep.
Okay, this is Goodbye Alert. A little bit longer than the song we just listened to, and the longest song we have left on the album. So from here, it's all shorter songs. Mm-hmm. All right, ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1.
Goodbye to you and me. Goodbye to the shallows lie.
Someday I must hear the surround sound version of this. I mean, it's astonishingly good.
Yeah.
In stereo.
No one looks to see it. We are coming back soon. I was not ready yet.
Some vocoder in the background there.
Goodbye to you and me.
That guitar.
Then you left the sea singing. I tried to find you there. Blue parasol, but I could not find it. In this world denied it, but I think you'd rather let it go. I stayed away. I gave you time. Why don't you talk to me anymore? Don't punish me forever.
This song has a bit of an 80s feel to it, don't you think?
Yeah, I'd say so.
With that driving bass rhythm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Like this song could be in Donnie Darko.
Yeah.
The original soundtrack version, not the one that made it to the theaters.
It could fade.
You've seen Donnie Darko, right?
Yeah, but I don't know the soundtrack differences.
Okay, well, I'll explain it after.
Unraveled dream
Not that I'm an expert.
washed away for hours. I'll be there, not just them flowers, but I think you'd rather. I stayed away.
That guitar sounds like a fly buzzing.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Got pulled inside. Why don't you talk to me anymore? Don't punish me.
Real like radio wave kind of sounding like they're tuning something in
Yeah? Yeah.
on, and like that fly sounding guitar is like they're losing a signal or something. It's
That's an interesting way to look at it, for sure.
which I don't know. Goodbye Alert. I wasn't really listening to the lyrics, but
I feel like that song was a little bit more reminiscent of what I was kind of expecting, without the kind of cool drum beat and that neat boom, 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 boom synth, like bass line. Like, they do a lot of songs that have weird sounds like that and constant like distorted noises and things. And the drums usually aren't that like clean and up front. Yeah, it was funny too, because the first time at the beginning of the song, I think when I thought it was getting to the chorus the first time, he said goodbye, and then the guitar kind of did like a little thing, and it reminded me of like an alarm on a phone or something. So I was like, he's saying goodbye, and then there's an alert or alarm on your phone. Yeah. I thought that was kind of I didn't hear him do it again later on in the song, but that might have just because that whole song just built the whole time, right? They were just adding things to it the entire time, so I may not have noticed it the second time or whatever if they did it again, but
I was definitely getting like TV or radio wave vibes for whatever reason. I don't know.
No, that's cool. I like that. That's an
kind of like the buzzing guitar is like almost like a power line kind of sounding thing. I don't know. I was getting like an electricity vibe. Yeah. This is my favorite by far. I really love this one. Yeah.
Okay.
I can't really pinpoint why. I liked how it built, and I like the doom 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 doom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Which, when we listened to that Talking Heads album, your favorite song on there was that last one, right? The last track. I think so. And it was like, yes. It was by far, you said it's your favorite Talking Heads song or something. And the whole song kind of built the whole time. It was very repetitive, kind of like this song was, and it just kind of built the whole time. So I could see that. That's really interesting. I don't know. I liked it. I liked that song a lot. I would not say it was my favorite one so far. Okay. Definitely my favorite one so far was Barbaric still. Okay. But yeah, and I did like the Narcissist as well. So
yeah, I've liked the last two a lot. So
yeah.
This album's, I'm liking this album.
Yeah. Have you listened to the new Gorillaz album from this year yet?
No.
You should. Okay. Unless you want to come like do a reaction to it sometime, but I would rather have you react to some of the older, more classic Gorillaz album. I know you've heard Plastic Beach, but
you there?
Yeah. Do you not? Can you not hear me?
I can hear you now. Your camera froze for a minute. We're fine.
Oh, your camera was frozen. I'm not frozen. You're frozen.
I mean, that's what happens when the connection drops for a second.
And it's funny too, because the whole time when we're listening to the music, I have my like Winamp player pulled up and I have it like half the screen, so it does cover the screen for me. Yeah. Which I don't have to have it that way, but just the way I've been leaving it, so I can see the length of the song and how much we have left.
Sure.
But right underneath that is your signal, and your signal is like full 5 bars consistently. It has never dropped, even though like right now you're frozen.
Really?
Yeah, you were frozen, and then you were itching your nose, and that's what I just went. So like, who knows what's going on? I don't know. Maybe it totally is me. I don't somehow on my end, my CPU or something.
Maybe I'll have to record my video next time.
Yeah, I don't know. That would be more editing for me. I ain't gonna do that. I don't care how. I'll do what I do with the other Chris and put like hats.
How I look.
I don't care how you look.
What about me? I don't care how you look.
Yeah, but it's my channel. See?
That's fair. I'm going to record this and put it on my channel from my perspective.
No!
I'm going to edit this way better than you.
I'll sue you for copyright infringement. I'll put out a copy claim on this video with Blur's music in it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got you. Okay, all right. Faraway Island, which definitely sounds like a Blur type of, or a Gorillaz type of thing, which is kind of interesting. All right, this is another sub 3-minute song, so I'm preparing myself to be disappointed. But we'll see. We'll just see. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Strange. You could hear people moving around there. Unless that was you moving, but I don't think so.
No, I heard there was some rustling.
Yeah, I love that.
Tonight, are you dancing? Are they new
3/4 time. It feels like a waltz.
As I sat further away from you. Far away, I miss you. I know you think I must be lost now. but I'm not anymore. It's on my mind. We're away now, down, down into the shadow. I'm cut to pieces. I'm dancing alone with the moon and the white whale. Far away, I miss you. I know you think I must be lost now, but I'm not anymore.
They did the chorus a third time.
They snuck it in there.
I know you think I must be lost now, but I'm not anymore.
That warbly.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah. Is that a bullfrog?
I would guess that was also some kind of either a guitar or a vocal thing. I loved that.
Yeah?
I thought that was really nice. That,
to me, that wasn't much different than the Everglades one that you hated.
well, except that this one had a structure and they kind of finished.
I guess to me, it didn't.
Oh, well, I thought I liked that one way more than the Everglades one. Yeah, your video is really choppy now, but I lost my train of thought. You talk for a sec.
I don't know. I guess that one, it wasn't my favorite so far. Like I said, it reminds me of the Everglades, which reminds me of kind of the ballad and the Russian strings, and I could tell there's definitely a theme to this album of like that's kind of what the vocals sound like.
Yeah,
which is fine. I think I expected more variety, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. Which this is not like. It's nothing like Park Life,
right? Yeah, and I got to stop thinking about it in terms of that,
because I wouldn't have expected that at all. So,
sure.
Which actually, the Magic Whip is probably a lot closer to Park Life. So,
yeah.
The thing is, to me, that the Magic Whip was just like a bunch of really awesome ideas that were put together and into like sort of unfinished thoughts is what it felt like to me. But I need to listen to that album again, because in just flicking through some samples here before we were getting started, I liked everything that I heard, and there was a lot more stereotypical, like a band playing songs, rather than this is very artsy kind of.
Yeah.
But I think in a good way. The thing that made me think of was the Ruin Brothers album that I mentioned a little bit ago. If you're watching this video and you don't know who the Ruin Brothers are, which I had no clue who they were until this year, so I wouldn't begrudge you at all. But they had an album. They're two brothers whose name is not Ruin, but Ruin is spelled R-E-U-N. So the Ruin Brothers. They've had 3 albums over the last few years. Their third album just came out this year. It's called 10 Paces, and it might be my number 1 or 2 album for the year. I think it's my number 2 right now, but it's incredible high fidelity. It's recorded so well, but they have this weird sort of like throwback Old West feel, mixed with a tiny little bit of what they refer to as sort of like gothic-y, sci-fi noirish sort of sound.
Oh, cool.
And that's kind of what I'm getting a little bit of vibes from this. You know, we mentioned the very first song, or the second song I mentioned, that like
St. Charles was kind of gothic-y.
And that's sort of like, I mentioned like a spy film, but like the chill moments of spy movies or something. Mm-hmm. It's like those kind of noir-y kind of vibes, which is really interesting. And I really liked this. That felt to me like it could have been like the last song on an album. you know, like doing that. So I don't know, but I liked the like waltzy feel of it. And he was talking about dancing. So I want in the lyrics, or I caught that once. And so I was like, well, maybe there's more of a message to this song that's, you know, something a little deeper than what we're going for, that when we're paying attention to. But I really like that. And I love that they came back to him doing the faraway island part at the end. That really helped me enjoy that a little bit more.
I think these, obviously we're stopping between to talk about these songs, but I think they would all flow together really nicely.
That's what I was going to say too. I bet this album would feel a little bit more cohesive if we weren't pausing. Mm. That's kind of just the nature of doing the pausing like we're doing. So.
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready to go on to Avalon?
Yes, sir.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
What's the point in building Avalon? If you can't
sounds like some trumpet or some brass.
Yeah.
Who's in the race again?
This is actually reminding me of the second Gorillaz album, Demon Days. That album ends really strangely, with like several slow songs in a row. But these strings these brass definitely remind me of like a spy movie, like the love theme of a spy movie.
Yeah.
Ooh.
See, now this is the vocals I was looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's times where he really sounds like Bowie.
Really? Okay.
Just like glimpses of it.
We need to do a David Bowie album.
Yeah, we should.
I don't know what if we would just like Ziggy Stardust is probably the one to do, I guess. But like I don't know any Bowie really at all.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would like it either because I think it's very conceptual, right?
Yeah, and a little glammy. I mean, he had a lot of periods.
Yeah.
So.
What's the point of defending Avalon if you can't be present when it's done? Who's in the van again? Picking up the apples in Avalon. The great painted aeroplanes fly over.
Dude, I love that guitar sound.
Yeah.
And then the strummed acoustic guitar, that's very Blur. You like that, don't you?
It's so, like, yeah, when he kicks into that. Yeah, it's very David Bowie.
See, now this, they could riff on this for like a minute, do some little noodly stuff. Instead, they're just gonna
end it.
But they're just gonna end it. Okay, I actually like that. I do feel like it was too short. However, I liked what it did. Like I guess I've become okay with the formula that they have here, and
sure.
it is the formula that I've been complaining about for Damon Albarn now for the last decade, where he just insists on only having 2 sections to a song. And I talked about this earlier, so I'm not going to rag on about it now, but like, it's what they're doing. There's 2 sections to a song, and that's it. And I wish that there would be a third part, or at least noodle around in one of those parts a little bit more. So,
yeah, it's what I liked when his voice kicked into that, like, not just the slow singing that he's been doing. I don't know how you describe how it got different. It was still kind of slow, but
and
I just couldn't shake that. Not just that, like that one note where he sounded like David Bowie, like that. Just that whole 2 line, the whole chorus sounded like David Bowie. Yeah,
and I'm sure David Bowie was a huge influence on Damon Albarn.
Yeah,
all the guys in the band probably, but
and I wouldn't say the music sounded like that. Just his vocals sounded like dead on.
Yeah. That's cool. That's interesting. Because David Bowie was very British when he sang, wasn't he?
I think that's probably part of it.
Maybe one of the reasons.
Yeah.
Well, and that song was called Avalon, which I don't know what Avalon. Isn't Avalon some sort of like a fictional, like a society or something, like a perfect society or something?
No, that's Utopia.
Well, I know Utopia.
Avalon. I don't actually know. I mean, I've heard that word in a million different.
Yeah, I've heard it before
media.
too, but I don't know exactly what it means.
Yeah. Did I make a David Bowie comparison during Park Life?
No.
I feel like I brought up David Bowie when we were reacting.
I don't recall. I don't recall you ever saying that.
Okay.
I'm looking up the meaning of Avalon. Don't laugh. I'm not afraid to. Okay. Avalon, in ancient stories, a beautiful island where dead heroes go.
Okay.
A story from ancient times. It is the place where King Arthur's body was taken after his last battle.
Call it a faraway island.
You could.
A lot of these sound like island songs.
Which, I mean, that...
Like you're sitting on a beach or something.
Would you say a plastic beach?
Yeah, and maybe that's in my head too. I don't know.
No, I agree. There's like Hawaiian-sounding guitar in every song.
It's almost like a concept album, although I haven't been listening to the lyrics enough to know if there's any sort of through thread here. But
Yeah. It really is. I agree with all of that, 100%. And I feel like I'm kind of on the cusp of like getting it, but I don't really get it. But I'm just enjoying the music for what it is, so I don't know.
So is this The Heights that's coming up? Is this the last track on the proper album?
Yes, track 10. Yes. Okay. So bear that in mind. This is the last track on the regular version. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Okay, it's not going to bash our faces in with its intensity.
Is this your strumming acoustic that you've expected?
No. I was expecting it to be more. No. Okay. I was a different style.
Suppose I'm on my own tonight. Suppose I gotta find the heights. I gave a lot of heart. So did you. Standing in the back row. This one's for
that feedback.
Yeah.
Through the coma in our lives. Something so bright out there you can't even see it. Are we running out of time? Something so momentary that you can't even feel it.
Those strings on the sides.
Yeah, that's cool.
That guitar is kind of annoying. Filling up the whole space with just noise, basically. Oh, but then it goes away and it means more.
Something so bright out there you can't even see it. Are we running out of time? Something so momentary that you can only be so momentary.
Again, they're incapable of writing a third part to a song.
You don't like the gimmick? Can you hear me?
No.
Oh. Instant cutoff. That's not a fade. That's the opposite of a fade out.
That's the opposite of a fade. It's a grind. It's a something. I liked that song until it got halfway through it, and then it just stopped basically. Come on, man. Why does Damon Albarn insist on doing this? I'm going to blame him for this because this is what all of the Gorillaz albums have been. This is what he's been doing for the last decade, and it's just like, come on, man. And I think, again, I've said it in every Gorillaz video I've done on my channel. I've said it in everything. I think that people just want shorter songs nowadays. And if you're writing a song so that a part of it gets famous on TikTok, you write a catchy little 30-second part, and then it gets famous on TikTok. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I don't think any of these were considering that.
I don't know.
None of these will be TikTok songs.
They won't be like dancey TikTok trends, but they might be used in. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why.
I mean, I understand if you want to say that. Yeah, people expect shorter songs these days, which I guess that's true. I don't really know.
I think that music industry's been trending that way for the last decade, really.
Yeah. Just
shorter songs, and that's fine. I don't know. It's upsetting to me. Like, I think one of the reasons it bothers me so much personally is because, and I've said this before in so many of my videos, I never, ever, 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 under any circumstances, listen to the same album twice in a row, ever. And so I like that song. I don't want to have to listen to it again to feel fulfilled in listening to it, right? I want every song to give me as much as it possibly has within it. And then when it's over, I want to feel like I've completed it. You know what I mean? And I think that a lot of artists nowadays are making these short songs just anticipating you to have it on replay. Just play the songs a bunch. And I don't like that. You know, I always use Atreyu's most recent album as an example. Like, they had an album came out and I was a couple years ago, and I was listening to it and I was like, wow, this song sounds really cool, but wow, it felt really short. This song sounds really cool, but it felt really short. And I looked at the song lengths, and every single song was under 2.5 minutes long, the entire album. And I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? You know, don't do that.
Do you think it's... I mean, I understand, yes, a lot of songs have sections that are clearly made for TikTok, which is disappointing.
Yeah.
I don't think that's happening here. Do you think that part of this is Spotify listen numbers of, like, if you have a short song, you're going to get more listens?
Nah, I don't think so.
No?
I don't think they would care about that.
What do you think they're caring about? Blur specifically?
I think it's Damon.
Or David.
I think it's Damon, and I think that he just realizes that shorter songs are what's the thing to do nowadays. I think that that's just what it is. I mean, Blur has one of their singles is over 7 minutes long. Yeah. And like, it was on the radio and stuff. Like, I was just listening to Taylor Swift Speak Now, right? I mentioned it several times. Taylor Swift has 2 songs on that album from 2010, a pop country album, that are over 6.5 minutes long.
Yeah.
And they're just like, her song Back to December, which is a single for her, is like 6 minutes and 15 seconds long. And it's just a normal song, right? There's no outrageous long solo or anything in it. It's just a slow ballad that kind of builds, but every chorus is the same. It's repeated. It's a normally structured song that's just like maybe twice as slow as the average song, which is why it's twice as long.
Right.
But like this, it's like they're writing these slow songs, and there's 2 parts, and then they just stop it after they do the chorus a second time.
Yeah.
And it just feels incomplete to me, which is really disappointing. That's the most disappointing thing about this. Everything else I think is fantastic. I love all the writing. I love, even in that song where I was complaining about the guitar because it was just this noisy, crunchy thing that was spread really wide to create like this bed of noise that all these beautiful things are sitting on top of. Even I can forgive that, because that is such a good Graham Coxon thing, to just have this like wall of noise in the background of this like pretty thing. Sure. And then when it went away, it was like jarring. And then they built it up at the end with the like feedback and the noise and stuff. And that's, again, also such a Damon and Blur and like Graham Coxon thing. Yeah. So I don't know. Let's listen to the first bonus song. This is the Rabbi.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Yes, already this is great.
On the last message you sent to me, you seem confused to gather more free of the events that brought us to this juncture. 'Cause where's the joy in this self-delusion? We're all practitioners of vague illusions, hieroglyphics, pictures, careering round blind bends at high speed, the loneliness of the long distance driver. Always lost. Then you saved me. Now who's gonna be tomorrow's heroes while the system grinds to an unseemly halt? Apologize to the streets and the rivers. The porter's out in the 1980s. There's no going back now.
I'll bet you anything they do the chorus one more time and then it's over.
And the storms abated, careering round blind bends at high speed. The loneliness of the broken-hearted. I was lost.
Tambourine. Hey, look, I was right. That was the most sort of like blurry blur song on this album, I would say.
Yeah, I guess I could see maybe why they left it off.
Yeah, and it probably doesn't work with like the theme of whatever they've been singing around about this whole time.
Whatever that is. Is he Jewish?
Damon, I don't think so.
Is this like I didn't listen to all, I guess I didn't register all the lyrics on that, but you were I was lost, then you saved me, and is it about a rabbi?
See, I thought I heard him talking about the loneliness of a long distance driver.
Yeah, which where does the phrase "the loneliness of the long distance runner" come from?
Is that a phrase? I've never heard that before.
Yeah, that's a thing. I mean,
it totally makes sense.
I think there's an Iron Maiden song called that.
Oh, that's pretty awesome if that's what it is. But I don't know.
Like there was a movie called "The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner." Like that's a thing. So that was a play on that. And then he said the loneliness of the heart,
right?
Or the heart
for the second half.
Yeah.
So. I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention to the lyrics as much, but I don't know. I liked it. No, Damon is very well known for being sort of like, he travels all over the world and he does lots of different things with different cultures. So I would not be surprised if he wrote this about a Jewish person. I do not think he himself is Jewish, but I don't know. He may have converted to Judaism. Well, I don't know if you can even convert to Judaism.
Is that allowed?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure, surely it is. Yeah,
I would assume, but I don't know. But I know he's done lots of different things along those lines with different cultures and different things. So I don't know.
Cool.
But again, we also know a lot of his songs are about like either real people or very specific types of people and types of locations. So could have been.
This could just be a rabbi that he knew that helped him in his time of need.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and it's funny too, because in the Gorillas, the the Murdoch, like his storyline recently is that he finally got to be the leader of a cult, which is what he's been wanting to do this entire time. He wanted to turn the entire world into like his legions and stuff. Yeah. And with the last Gorillaz album, like it seems like he's finally trying to be a cult leader, but it's like kind of failing. So it's interesting. All right, let's listen to this last Blur song though. This is the Swan, which is fun to have. The Swan song is their last. Oh, yeah. If this is their last album ever, the last song on it is the Swan song.
It's the Swan song.
So that's kind of fun. All right, ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. Again, I want to reiterate, the space is used so well. You feel the weight of everything.
Rage is a fault sometimes that we all go crying back to misinformed. But it pays us all to forgive. Know that I will always be here for you even when I'm gone from this world. Deep the waters of the world. What do you really want? What do you really need? What do you really want from me? The Swan softly sleeps.
That like organ or whatever disappeared, and now the song feels so empty.
The willow tree, do you miss me? Though I'm often
the brushes on this, the drums sound fantastic.
I will always be here for you even when you're gone from this world. Deep the waters of the world. What do you really want? What do you really need?
Those strings.
What do you really want from me? What do you really need? The pines of the morning star, they call reflections down beyond the broken hearts. Do you miss me? Now I've gone. Know that I will always be there for you, even though I had to let you go. What do you really want? What do you really need?
How do you feel about that one?
Disappointed.
Yeah?
I feel disappointed. I feel like...
That was a bonus track.
I know, but come on, man.
They cut it off the album for a reason.
I feel like all the elements were here to make like masterpiece of all time album, and they just were like, no, we're only going to go halfway. You know, like first of all, to have a song in it that even has strings in it is like really cool and special, you know? Mm-hmm. That was really great. I love where they were going there. But why couldn't they just like I just want them to expand on every idea they had on this album, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's my overall thoughts. Now that we're done listening to the whole thing, I feel disappointed overall because they did the exact same thing to me the Gorillaz have been doing to me for a decade. They left me wanting more on every song, and that does not give me a good taste in my mouth. That leaves me feeling like the potential wasn't reached, you know? And so for me, disappointed.
I understand that, yeah. And maybe it's different. Maybe you're supposed to take it as a whole album. Maybe you're supposed to listen to it through.
Right.
And you know, we did pause between tracks. And,
right. Yeah, I'm excited to listen to it again all the way through. Damon's solo album that he released, I don't think last year, but the year before, which is called The Nearer the Fountain, the More Pure the Stream Flows, which is the dumbest album title ever. I don't even know if I got that correctly, but like you can watch that reaction on my channel and just watch me get disappointed and bummed out, just like we did on this one, but way even more. Because that album is mostly just sort of like piano and like strings and orchestra and stuff, and then some like little drum beats and things, but it's very much more of like a classical feeling album almost.
Yeah.
And I feel like that album as well, like this, there were such cool ideas, musical ideas, but they were just little short ideas. And now I will also say, and I don't think I mentioned this to you when we were doing the Blur video last time, like when Damon Albarn, he writes like pieces of like 100 songs. And then when they go into the studio, they pick the things that they like the best and kind of find what works together. And that's how they write their songs. So maybe it's just a combination of like before when they were younger and when music was more trending this way, Damon would come in with like parts of these interesting songs and they would flesh those parts out into full, 3 chorus, 1 bridge songs.
Yeah. And
instead nowadays they just take the parts, put them together, and that's it. Like there's no expanding upon the ideas that he originally had. So I don't know. It's really, I don't want to make it seem like all doom and gloom, because I really do honestly think this is one of the highest fidelity albums I've ever heard. And we spent like 2 hours in the Led Zeppelin video talking about how that's the thing that matters the most to me.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's like, if that Led Zeppelin album sounded as good as this, or even half as good as this, like it would be the greatest thing of all time.
Sure.
Maybe not the greatest thing of all time, but it would be incredible. So that would have been the case of like really good songs that had bad production. But this is like really good, well-written songs. Just to me, it felt like pieces and parts of songs.
Yeah.
And for some reason, that is just what Damon Albarn has been doing now for like a decade. Like I would love it if you listen to some of the more recent Gorillaz stuff, especially their album Song Machine, I think was the most egregious example of this. Like he would have a guest vocalist. And so the song would just be like, okay, the song starts and Damon sings like a verse, and then another person comes in and sings a verse, and then there's a chorus, and then the song's over. And that was like the structuring of like every song. It was really strange. And to me, that just screamed like, hey, play part of whichever part of this you like, put it on background of your TikTok video.
Yeah.
And like with this kind of thing, which is definitely a lot more like thought put into this with all the strings and the crazy arrangements and the complexity of what's happening. The fact that they did still insist on keeping everything short and to the point without stretching anything out really at all is a bummer to me. So
yeah, I mean, my 2 favorite songs were Goodbye Alert and The Narcissist, which are 2 of the longest songs on the album.
Yeah, and
at 4 minutes.
Yeah, right. And The Narcissist is one of only two or three songs on the album to go to the chorus a third time.
Yeah.
Right, and to kind of finish.
And nothing. They all felt like they were trying to be epic songs, and then they just never made good on that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, exactly. That's exactly what I was saying. So, bummer. I don't know. Like, I want to reiterate again that I noticed right away when this album started that there was something special with the production going on.
Yeah.
And I was not at the time thinking of the fact that there was like a Dolby Atmos version of this. But in those first few songs, I kept mentioning like the space, I can't believe this. And then in that track 3 or 4, when I felt like your head was literally inside of the guitar,
yeah,
like that was when I was like, wait a second, there is something here. And so the idea that there is actually like a surround sound, like ultra version of this is like super tantalizing to me. And
you gotta get that.
I think if I remember, it was only $25 on that website. Because I think I sent you that website. We were looking on there, and there was like $70 versions of these other things. But the Blur thing was like relatively cheap compared to everything else on there. So
it's, let me...
SuperDeluxeEdition.com or whatever it was.
Yeah, super new album. Blu-ray, it's 23 pounds.
Oh, so that'd be probably like 27 probably. And with shipping, it's probably another 5 to 10 probably.
Yeah.
So it's probably...
I wonder if that includes the CD with that.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I can find a copy on eBay eventually. But
this is my first time seeing the cover.
Oh, right. The guy swimming.
Yeah.
It's just, which is interesting because they definitely have water and stuff on their covers every now and then. Not necessarily all the time. But I did read about the cover that it's just like a picture. They were originally going to use a cover of the Darren guy on the front, and they chose not to do that. Like I said, to kind of respect his privacy. But in the booklet, there is a picture of him in the booklet, so they did include that. They just didn't want it to be the cover of the album. But the cover of the album was that's a very famous like pool somewhere in England or London, I think. Yeah. And someone just took a pool during the pandemic, I think, or something, when there was just one person in it. And I guess that's like a crazy thing to just see one person there, I think was what I was getting from the...
Sure.
So maybe that ties into sort of like the loneliness aspect that they mentioned several times. And also, like you said, there was kind of like almost like a maritime-y, like islandy feel to some of it.
Several songs felt like they were just like trying to evoke you on a beach.
Yeah.
Just sitting there.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like this was mostly like a Damon Albarn driven album. Yeah. And I wish we would get an album where they all kind of contribute equally, but maybe that's never how they never did it. I don't know. But like, when you listen to that older stuff, Alex James, the bass player, in every song is like shredding the bass, just like do 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 like stuff, insane lines. Yeah. And like, there was none of that here. There was like only one song that really showcased the bass, and that was the song I liked the most, which was Barbaric. Okay. And that was the song that like featured the bass the most. And there was also a really cool guitar part in that song as well. But I think that overall, the bass was not showcased. The drums were really cool throughout the whole album. The guitar was really interesting and unique, and I necessarily wasn't expecting Graham Coxon to be like a showy guitar player on this album, because they have not really done that kind of a thing for quite a while. When they perform, Damon Albarn a lot of the time has an acoustic guitar, and he just like strums along with the songs. So that's kind of more what I meant when I said acoustic guitar. Like if you do eventually listen to the Magic Whip, which I give you permission to listen to that whenever you want, because
we're not going to do that.
We're probably not going to react to that whenever. Well, I don't know. It would be, I don't know. If we could use...
If we could use the audio, we could go back.
We could just do a song from each thing, and go through from album to album in the same video, and just like clip of this, clip of this, clip of this. I would love to do that, but we just can't, because of the copyright stuff. So I don't know. Yep. Someone mentioned to me the other day in a comment, they were like, why do you keep uploading videos without the music in them? And I responded, I was like, well, the video gets blocked everywhere. And he's like, why don't you just upload it to Vimeo? They have no copyright on their website whatsoever. And I'm like, well, I don't know about that. I'm sure there is copyright stuff, but like, I don't know. I don't know about that, but I don't know. Cause I'm just so scared that my whole YouTube channel is going to get shut down. So. Yeah. Which, by the way, did I tell you? I told you yesterday, right? I was accepted into being a partner.
Official partner.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and so now I got to try to find a way to go through the process of monetizing stuff. And then I think what I'm assuming what I'm going to do then is from now on, when I upload a video, if it can be monetized, which I very rarely ever upload content that could be, but I do want to do some shorts. Like I was editing some shorts the other day, and a lot of them were just funny moments that happened during conversations. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'll try to figure that out. But anyway, I'm trying to work on ideas of ways that I could have some sort of a thing that's somewhat regular that doesn't use music in it. I know. Chris Parker and I have talked about bringing the music room back. Yeah. And I've been thinking about that too, because what we used to do on the music room, which for anyone still watching this video, you're awesome because we're not talking about Blur anymore. But if anyone's still watching this, Chris and I used to have a podcast back in the day where we just blatantly broke the law and released a podcast and hosted it on our own website and included music in it. But basically what we would do is we would pick a topic for each episode and be like one episode we did was a themed episode where we were like, we're going to do it broadcasting it from space. And so the whole episode, we pretended like we were on a rocket ship, like in space. And then all of the songs were basically just sort of like sci-fi space themed songs that we had found and wanted to include in the episode. And every episode, Chris and I would each pick 3 or 4 songs to like showcase. And so what we would do is we would talk about it a little bit beforehand, then we would listen to the song without talking at all, and then we would talk about it again because the other person might have been hearing the song for the first time. And so we could theoretically do something like that again and just have links in the video to each of the songs that we're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, and not actually like play the song. Like we could listen to them, but then I just cut that part out of the video.
Yeah.
So like there would be a way to do that. And also YouTube now does have YouTube podcasts. So like we could try to bring something like that and do something like that. But I don't know. I'm trying to think of ideas.
Yeah, it's music room coming back would be cool.
Anyway, we can end it.
You gotta find your next Metallica.
Yeah, well, I've had so many people mention Tool and Pink Floyd. Tool, Pink Floyd. Someone actually mentioned the other day that they really wanted me. There's one guy that's commented on every one of my videos that he wants me to listen to Shogun by Trivium. And so like I got to listen to the album just for that guy. Plus I like Trivium as a metal band, but I was going to say someone mentioned
we were kind of expecting the Led Zeppelin one to do good numbers, and it did.
Yes.
Even without the music, but it's like for one, you weren't blown away, to say the least.
Right.
And then, so what are you going to do? Go back and listen to another one where you just hate on it again?
Well, I don't think I would hate on it as much just based on the samples. You know,
maybe
after I never looked when we were doing that. No, this is not the time to go in there. But like, I'm really looking forward to Pink Floyd. Like I just have this feeling that I'm going to really like it.
I hope you can use the audio from that, because if you can, there's just a treasure trove of albums there.
Yeah, I would love if I could.
That could be your next series.
Absolutely, 100%. And people have been talking about Tool a lot too, and someone even mentioned like, well, Tool only has 5 albums, so you could do that really easily. And I do think that Tool allows people to use certain maybe individual songs. I don't know. I might have to start cutting stuff up and doing only individual songs. But all right, well, we're just blabbing about nothing. So, do you have any thoughts on the album overall?
I guess I liked it. I mean,
that was what I was going to ask. Like, did you like it, or were you?
I think so. I definitely was into Park Life more. I think it was just more fun. This one's, kind of slow, kind of, I don't want to say depressing because I didn't really listen to the lyrics, but, just, I guess it's a chill album. I really like every time that there's distorted guitars coming in and doing weird stuff. I like that, which they do a lot on every other track.
Yeah.
So.
I will say in our other Blur video, I did get several comments of people saying that they thought that I should have shown you Modern Life is Rubbish instead of Park Life, which is shocking to me. But I think some of the comments were saying that because I had mentioned that I wanted to do Great Escape next, and they were all saying, no, you need to do Modern Life is Rubbish, because I guess a lot of people like that album more, so I don't know.
Okay.
But if we would want to eventually do all of those, but I don't know, we'll see. Because whatever. All right. Thank you very much for watching. I'll probably cut some of this stuff at the end out, but thank you very much for watching. Anybody that's made it to the end this far, you're awesome. Thank you very much. If you're first time here and you just were letting us talk in the background while you were driving your car or listening to us like a podcast, if you liked this and you want more of stuff like that, every one of our videos is like this basically. No matter if I have a guest or not, I can talk myself into a hole all day long. So if you like it, think about subscribing. Like the video. If nothing else, leave a comment telling me what you didn't like about it or what you did. And hopefully, I'll see you around next time.
All right.
Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.
Oh, hold on. Wait. I got to see if I can find. There was a comment on the Led Zeppelin that was like the most ridiculous. Yes. It's the most ridiculous comment I've ever seen. Okay, so look on my screen here. I'm going to show you the wall of text. Okay. So you said, wait. I got to scroll.
Oh my God.
Wait, it's still going. There's the bottom.
He wrote a dissertation.
He did, and it's all about Led Zeppelin.
Is it like all hate?
No, here I'll read you some of it. Okay. You just tell me when you want me to stop. And then it goes on. It goes on. It goes on and on and on and on and on.
This is like a school paper.
No, it literally is.
Was it? I mean, that's not hate. That's
no, I love it.
Should have been on the video with you.
Oh yeah,
he could have done a lot better than explaining stuff.
That's great. No, a lot of them are not hate.
Yeah,
a lot of them aren't.